In a peaceful land far from royal palaces and busy cities, where hills stretched endlessly and flocks grazed beneath the open sky, a man lived a simple life. His name was Amos. Amos was not born into a family of prophets. He was not raised in royal courts or trained in schools of wisdom. He came from a small town called Tekoa, a rough place in the land of Judah. Life there was not easy, but it was honest. From a young age, Amos learned to work with his hands. He became a shepherd, caring for sheep through scorching days and cold nights. He also tended sycamore trees, cultivating them with care. His life was quiet, steady, and far removed from power and influence. But within that quiet life, something powerful was forming inside him. Amos carefully observed the world around him. He saw how people treated each other. He recognized the difference between right and wrong. Though he lived far from the cities, he understood the condition of the nation. At that time, the kingdom of Israel was prospering. Under King Jeroboam, the land experienced wealth and success. Cities expanded, trade increased, and people lived comfortably. But beneath that success, something was wrong. The rich grew richer, while the poor were ignored. Justice was being distorted. People worshipped outwardly, but their hearts were far from God. Corruption spread quietly, hidden behind appearances of success. Then one day, everything changed. Amos received a call, not from man, but from God. It was unexpected. He was not seeking it. He was not preparing for it. But God chose him. The shepherd from Tekoa was called to speak. God gave Amos a message, not for Judah where he lived, but for Israel, the northern kingdom. It was a place filled with wealth, pride, and hidden injustice. Leaving behind his flocks and quiet life, Amos obeyed. He traveled north, entering a land that did not know him, a place where he was not welcomed. Standing among strangers, he began to speak. His message was bold. He spoke against nations, calling out their wrongdoing. He declared judgment against those who oppressed others. Then he turned his words toward Israel itself. The people were not expecting it. They believed they were safe. They believed their success meant God was with them. But Amos revealed the truth. He spoke about injustice, how the poor were being trampled. He spoke about false worship, how people honored God with words but not with their lives. He spoke about judgment, how their actions would bring consequences. His words were not easy to hear. They sell the righteous for silver, and the needy for a pair of sandals, he declared. People began to react. Some listened, but many rejected him. Among them was a priest named Amaziah, who saw Amos as a threat. He told Amos to leave, to return to Judah, and to stop speaking. But Amos stood firm. I was not a prophet, he said, nor the son of a prophet. I was a shepherd, but God took me and said, Go, speak. He could not be silenced. Amos continued delivering visions, powerful images revealing what was coming. He saw locusts devouring the land. He saw fire consuming everything. He saw a plumb line, a symbol showing the people had been measured and found wanting. Each vision carried a message: the time of ignoring truth was coming to an end. Yet even in judgment, there was a deeper purpose. Amos was not speaking to destroy, he was speaking to awaken. He called the people to return to what was right. To seek justice. To care for the weak. To live with integrity. But many refused. They were comfortable. They were secure. They did not want to change. Amos stood alone, a voice against a nation that did not want to listen. Still, he did not stop. His life was no longer simple. The shepherd had become a messenger, carrying words that challenged power and exposed truth. Years passed, and Amos fulfilled his mission. The Bible does not record the exact details of his death or later years, but his message remained. Everything he spoke pointed to one truth. A nation cannot stand strong if it is built on injustice. Even if it appears successful on the outside. Even if everything seems fine. What matters is what lies beneath. Amos likely returned to the quiet life he once knew, but he was no longer the same man. He had spoken the truth. He had obeyed God's call. From a shepherd in the fields to a voice that shook a nation. His life became a reminder that God can choose anyone. Not based on status. Not based on background. But based on purpose. Amos did not seek greatness. Yet his words lived on. And even today, his message still speaks. Let justice flow. Let righteousness rise. Let truth be heard. His life was simple but his voice was powerful. He did not come from a palace, yet he spoke to a nation. And sometimes, you may feel like you are just an ordinary person. But your voice, your choices, your stand for what is right, can make more impact than you ever imagine. If you believe one person can make a difference, type Amen.